Sweet.
What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another Chance Encounter. Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. Power lines that are kind of close. What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg. With Eddie, is it Symmonett? Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah, Symmonett, correct? Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. So, for those of you who know Eddie and you don't know me, this show is where I interview commercial real estate investors. I quickly find out what their motivation is for their next deal and the role that they play in taking it down, operating it, and or flipping it, whatever their core role is. But if you are watching this, you're probably still just learning real estate. So I think one of the most important things that you can do for yourself is learn how to introduce yourself effectively. So, Eddie, can you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey guys, thanks for having me, Dan. My name is Eddie Symmonett. I am originally from the Bahamas. I live in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm a multifamily investor here and I do it full time.
Excellent, excellent, good stuff. So in our first segment here, what I do is I click on this and then I click on that so it actually pops up again. That's much better. And then I remember it's that way. So everybody who gets into commercial real estate, they know what their motivation is, but sometimes they don't know what role they'd end up playing. So that's why I start off with the motivation slides. So the first motivation that people have for wanting to get a new commercial property or add to their portfolio is they might be looking to preserve their purchasing power from inflation. So in other words, this is when I think about this one, I'm thinking about family offices. I'm talking about non-working class people. You know, they always have to have their wealth performing or else the show's over, basically. So that's the first reason. The second reason is my one, which is that if as a high earner in tech, that means that if I want to invest and get equity in these apartment complexes, in these different commercial deals, then I have an intermediate step of having to pay income tax, which is bonkers. So if I work directly in the business in some sort of operational marketing capacity, then I'm trading my time for wealth. So that's what I'm up to right here. The next reason is the most common one, which is people want to fast track their retirement. But the important thing that's implied there is that there's an end in sight. So some people, you know, they'll become an accredited investor and they'll be like, you know what, that's good enough for me. So, you know, that's good enough. But the next group, it's the ones that are unbelievably ambitious. They'll never quit. In other words, they want to buy their entire hometown. And you know, like if somebody's like, they always have to have the fastest car, you know, the biggest yacht and all that kind of stuff, and they're handy to have in a group that's looking to aggressively increase its portfolio, because you know they're not going to quit once they get rich. And that brings me to the last of the five, which is the irrational need to help tenants. In other words, there's some sector of society that you really want to help, and you realize that wealth building is the best vehicle to help any cause. So some people, you know, sometimes it's pets, sometimes it's has to do with veterans and all those sorts of things. But those are the five motivations, and out of those five, what mixture of them, which one describes your situation the most accurately, Eddie?
Yeah. So absolutely. So I think I more identify, with the person that has to, want to be like full time in it and wants to like buy the whole neighborhood. So that's kind of like what I align with a little bit more. I started straight out of college, with 6 months of savings saved up and just jumped in it full time.
Mhm.
So definitely, I think that's the one that identifies me the most, the best. Mhm.
Right. So you probably have that thing where like the idea of like retirement, you know, it's just like and do what, right? That's
Yeah,
what that's the kind of person you are. Yeah.
100%, man. So yeah, I mean, so the reason that we want to be in real estate is for the financial freedom, right? But like a person like me, I mean, it's good to know that I can retire if I want to, but I'm always going to be working. I may retire for like a few hours, and then it's like, no, I need something to do.
Right. And a lot of people, they're thinking about inflation too, so they have to have what they do have perform. So, I just think it's more realistic, right? Just to know that, you got to have something going on in the future, and real estate's one of those things where you can have very soft hands, just like mine. They're very soft because of all the computer stuff. But
Yeah.
anyway, let's talk about the roles in a CoGP situation. So usually when I'm
Yeah.
explaining this to the audience, I talk about repositioners first. So repositioners, I got a picture of a couple different deals, a bunch of paperwork here, and that basically tells you that they're doing the underwriting, they're figuring out which properties have some upside. So they're really the acquisition people, or the repositioner themselves has acquisition people of their own. Now, the ways that they get upside, one is more efficient operations. And I got the money going down the toilet there, to give you an idea about how efficiency, it actually it means real dollars and cents, but it also
Yeah.
means that the things that have to do with the money, they're part of operations. So part of it is marketing, part of it is bookkeeping. But that's the
Mhm.
operations, fixing, doing maintenance and all that sort of stuff. And right now it is the hottest real estate market in history. So that's probably
Mhm.
not going to be enough to get real upside. So a lot of guys, they get contractors. They get a contractor
Mhm.
team because they don't want to let the operators do it because they'll just make a mess. And the contractors, if they actually make the apartment units nicer, then you can charge more in rent. So that's an easy way to have upside. But if
Mhm.
you're like me and from the internet, you'll also need a local. You'll need boots on the
That's
ground.
some
You're going to
grand.
need somebody who's like an hour away who can be there basically in a moment's notice, because that's not going to be me, because I'm in Canada
Yeah.
for what it's worth. But anyways, so if you are the repositioner, you have the property in hand, you've got this entire team figured out for the day-to-day stuff. You go to a financier, you go to the bank and say, "Hey, this property that's worth millions of dollars, I need millions of dollars to buy it. So can you lend me millions of dollars?" And then they say, "Okay, so here's your team. Let's take a look at that." Okay, but who's your sponsor? And if you're a beginner, you'll be like, "You're what now?" But the sponsor, if you want to get the loan, you have to have somebody in the fold who has a similar asset. So if you want a 350 unit apartment complex, you're going to have somebody who already owns a 350 or somewhere around that neck of the woods apartment complex. And then you also have to have a balance sheet of at least the amount of the loan. So that those six different roles, that's all it takes to take down, operate, and flip, if necessary, an apartment complex. So out of
Yeah.
those, what are your core competencies, keeping in mind that for financier, capital raisers would also be a kind of financier. So
Yeah.
I think that covers all of them. So which are your core competencies that you bring to your next deal?
Yeah, so 100%. So for me, definitely it would be the sponsor, operator. That's mainly like what I align with the most. I mean, from I started with a duplex. And when I had it, I didn't have property management or anything, so I was just doing everything myself and figuring out myself. So during that process, I was able to learn a lot. I mean, I got a lot of cuts and bruises, but at the same time, it was a learning lesson. So I took the lessons I learned on the smaller deals and just applied those same lessons to when I scaled up to larger deals, right? So it's the same concepts. It's just now you have more revenue, so you can have better systems in place. So definitely it'd be more like a lead sponsor right now, actually, and then more like on the operations side. So what can we do to maximize our investors' returns? What can we do to preserve investor capital, and what can we do to make sure their asset is, performing the best way it can.
All right, and I got one other question for you, which is your buy box. So that's what geographical area or unit count, the different features like that. What would you really be looking for as far as your sweet spot, the deal that's best for that you're the best to handle right now?
Okay. Yeah. So for me, I started with the smaller units, but right now I'm mainly focused on, I would say, 50 units and up. So probably the next acquisitions are going to be between 50 to maybe 120 units. The area of focus for me is Birmingham, Alabama. So I just invest in the Birmingham MSA. and surrounding areas. So that's mainly where I'm focusing on, and primarily it's because I'm vertically integrated as well, meaning that I own a property management company. So I want to try to scale that out in proportion, to my holdings. So that would be my criteria.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so
Yeah.
there is not like a direct local part like boots on the ground, but it's you definitely sticking in that area. The
Yeah.
other one that I gotta mention as well is we got to be careful about SEC restrictions for this one. But I usually ask people who would you be able to help in real estate more than anybody else, and the SEC restrictions you have to be concerned about is you're not allowed to entice investors. Okay,
Mhm.
so don't talk about that, but like who
Mhm.
else, like like is it a beginner, someone who
Yeah.
already has a particular type of asset, or what is it?
Yeah, so definitely, I would say just following me on social media and the content I put out there is more tailored towards beginners that really want to focus on multifamily. I don't really have much content on anything else. Like I specifically just do multifamily. So for people that's just looking for something to compare to, and just an easy track record of someone, because I document my progress a lot. So yeah, it would be more tailored to the person that's just starting out, and then looking for trying to get their first few deals done.
Excellent, because my background is in scaling digitally, and so I'm the one where like somebody has a harebrained idea, and it's like, oh well, let's make this happen, and of course the system doesn't do it, and I have to find a way to make it work anyway. And when you get that kind of thing, when you're scaling a lot, the thing that I think is so important is that you have to get like competent
Mhm.
at what you want to scale first, right? You got to at least be able to tell, like you tell the difference between someone who's doing a good job at that and someone who's doing a bad job at that. So I think that that's
Mhm.
really valuable experience. Like I also noticed one other thing, like I lived in Taiwan for 15 years, and I noticed a lot of apartment investors. I don't think they've ever lived in an apartment,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
like in Taipei where I was, it's like like a condo for just a couple people, like it's going to be like $500,000 for sure, right? And it's not going to be
Golly.
particularly cozy, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's really really something. But so we met through some meetups, some multifamily meetups. I found those through LinkedIn. Is
Yes.
LinkedIn the best way to reach you, or do you have a website that's a better way to reach out to you?
Yeah, so definitely I'm more active on social media. So LinkedIn would definitely be like the best way to get in touch with me. Also, my same name, Edward Symmonett. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and then I also have a YouTube channel too where I share some free videos on multifamily. So, just put in my name and you can find me on any of those platforms.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much for that. And
Mhm.
one more thing for you in the audience in there, which is that if you look somewhere below, this is my left arm, even though it's on your right. Below here somewhere, you're going to see a red button and it says subscribe, and the red is bad. Okay. If you click on it, it'll be gray, and that's much better because that
Yeah.
means YouTube pays for these videos instead of me. I want some of that Google money
Oh
because
yeah.
this is just crazy talk. But anyway, all that does, it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. It just means that my videos might show up on your list of suggestions. There's no guarantee of that at all, but it does definitely help out. So please do hit that subscribe button. But Eddie, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been
My
really, really
pleasure. Thanks
awesome.
for having me, Dan.
Awesome. Cheers.